Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I haven't posted in a while, so sorry about that. If you didn't know, I am pregnant. Yep, I am officially 26 and a half weeks, so on Saturday I'll make 27 weeks with not one but two sweet, precious, amazing little boys that we have decided to name Joshua Jr. and Josiah. So excited. But what I decided to do is I don't know, I guess I've tried to like get some more content besides just makeup. I know today I'm not, baby girl, with this makeup and this heat and being pregnant and having all this extra weight on me, it's just not happening. I'm sorry, it's not happening. It's not gonna happen. Again, never been pregnant before, so I didn't know what to expect. You know, you hear everybody's stories, whatever, and like you're just like, oh. But again, everybody's different, and it's just one of those things that everybody has their own story. So I wanted to tell you guys my story. If my husband was here, he'd be in this video with me, but he is at work because he let me stop working so that I could prepare to have babies. So I'm so blessed that I don't have to, you know, work a full-time job anymore because my husband is amazing and has taken care of everything. So love him to death for that. But anyway, so I guess I'll start about how I came about wanting to have kids. So my husband and I, we got married, or we got engaged in September of last year. So yeah. Mimi, you messing up my video, girl. She has this thing where she wants you to throw the ball like all the time. So if you see me doing this, it's the only thing I can do to entertain her, because she'll be back again and again and again until I tell her no. So we got engaged in September on my birthday, and sweetest thing ever. I love him to death. Oh my god. He proposed to me in front of the Harry Potter castle at Universal Studios. So, and that's exactly what I wanted. So anyway, so we got engaged then, and we had been together for like almost a year at this point, or at that point, and I wanted, like, we both knew we wanted kids, but you know, we never, like, I guess you don't really talk about that thing, but we also knew that we wanted to be married before we had children, or at least engaged, so that like you knew that we were gonna stay together. But I knew I was going to stay with him regardless. Anyway, so he had been joking with me saying like, oh, I'm gonna, like, he wouldn't actually do this, so like disclaimer, but he was like, I'm gonna hide your birth control and like keep that from you so you can't have it. And I'm like, you're not gonna do that, like, just stop. We knew we wanted to have kids, and we knew that that was something that was on our mind, and you know, but I kept saying, I don't want to have kids until we're married. I don't want to have kids till we're married. Don't want to have kids till we're married. And I don't know what it was. It was like, so we got engaged in September. Come like November, I was like, I woke up one day and said, I want to have a baby. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I want to have a baby. He was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I want to have a baby. And he was like, he kind of like, I woke him up to tell him this, and so he was kind of like crying, like excitement tears. Like he was kind of like, are you serious? Like, just couldn't believe that I had just said that. But so what we did, hey girl, so So what we did was, a couple weeks later I decided I'm going to stop taking my birth control, which we planned this, like he knew I was going to stop, and so it's not like something that just I kind of like sabotaged him or whatever craziness. But I knew that I wanted to have kids, so I stopped my birth control, and they said that, like, you know, if you Google stuff like, oh, how long does it take to get pregnant, and everything usually just says like, oh, like after you stop birth control probably takes maybe a month to 2 months, and maybe even longer, sometimes like 3 or more. And I was like, oh, 3 months, like that's a long time. But because I'm very impatient. But we, you know, stopped doing birth control, and 2 weeks later I ovulated and I got pregnant. So this was back in November when this happened. So I got pregnant. Super excited. So excited. Like, I cried. I could not believe it. Like, I was freaking out. I could not believe it. I was like, they said it takes longer than this. Like, it's only been 2 weeks. Like, how does this even happen? But it happened. So, anyway, so found out I was pregnant. Called my doctor's office to schedule my, I guess the first appointment. They consider it your confirmation of pregnancy. So I was like, okay, like, I'll go to the appointment, but they don't see you until you're like at least 8 weeks. So I was like, all right, now we have to wait. Like, I knew I was pregnant because I took like 3 tests at like different points. Like, I took one and then waited like a week and took another, and then a couple days later took another, and like, I was like, yeah, you're pregnant. And then I want to say it was around like December, I started noticing that I was spotting, and you know, I called my doctor, and at this point I still hadn't seen my doctor because they don't see you until you're like 8 to 10 weeks. And I was like, you know, this is what's happening. And they were like, oh, like, it sounds like it's just implantation bleeding, so if I were you, I'd just kind of take it easy, like, it should be fine. And I'm thinking, okay, like, whatever they say, like, they're the doctor, nurses, midwives, whatever, like, they know what they're talking about. And then I went home for Christmas, and Josh came with me and everything. And then it was the date, like, I had started kind of bleeding more, almost like period kind of bleeding. And then next thing I know, I'm actually, like, the next day, like literally the day after Christmas, I realized that I'm like really bleeding, like something's not right bleeding, and cramping, like bad period cramps. So I was like, so go to the doctor, the emergency room, because it's the day after Christmas. It's I believe it was Saturday. It was probably like a Saturday or something. But so I went to the doctor, and they did some blood work and everything, and basically she told me that my HCG levels, which are like the levels that let you know if you're pregnant or not, they were so low that they couldn't even tell if I was pregnant or not at all. So I was like, oh, okay. So basically they told me that I needed to go to my OB once I got back to Florida. So once I got back home, Florida, we went to the doctor, and they did blood work again, and same thing. Everything came back negative, that I wasn't pregnant anymore. So basically my doctor called it a chemical pregnancy, or just a super early miscarriage. So a chemical pregnancy is when you, I think it's like when you miscarry before a certain time, like maybe the first like 8 weeks or so, or something like that. So so I miscarried, unfortunately, which was very sad, and I cried because, you know, like when you first find out you're pregnant, you're so excited, and like Josh was so excited, my mom was so excited, like his mom was excited, like everyone was so excited, and then it all just like wasn't anymore. So just like I said, it just wasn't, like, I wasn't pregnant anymore. And it was very upsetting because I don't know, it's just, I don't know. It was sad. Like, I get sad thinking about it, obviously. Anyway, my doctor told me that ideally they'd like you to wait at least 2 months or have like another full cycle or menstrual cycle before trying to get pregnant again. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And then probably about two weeks later, or a week and a half later, me and my husband decided to get married. We had a COVID wedding is what I call it, because we got married at the courthouse. It was just me and Josh and my cousin, who was our witness. And that was like a beautiful time, like, you know, made everything so much better. And I had just found out that I got the job that I was trying to get, so that was super exciting. It was just a lot of like super exciting things that happened in January. Obviously marrying the love of my life, like and then getting this new, like the new job I had. It was just amazing. Like everything was just like, okay, you know, you have this big heartbreak and then God blesses you with like so many more you know, great things in your life. So it really just made me feel so much better about everything. And then something told me to take another pregnancy test like the week after we got married. And I was like, actually it wasn't even the week, it was the day after I got married. Just kidding. The day after we got married, I was like, I'm gonna take one. And I was like, but it's only been, at this point, it had only been 3 weeks since I miscarried, or like 2.5 weeks. So I was like, I can't be pregnant. So it's not, I'm gonna take it because my husband wanted me to. He's like, I think you should, I think you should. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. Like, I don't think I'm gonna take one, but I took one anyway, and surprise, like I was pregnant. And I was like, I looked at the pregnancy, like the stick, and I was like, babe. And he was like, what, like freaking out. And he ran in the bathroom, and I was like, babe. And he was like, what? And I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, no, like in an excited way, like, no, like, oh my God, like couldn't believe it, so excited, and like everything was so like happy, and just couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe it either. And it was funny because I texted my sister, I was like back in the game, and like sent her picture. She was like, oh my God. So I get to tell everybody like, oh my God, like I'm pregnant again. And so it was just, so here we are, just got married and just got a new job, brand new year, whatever, and I find out I'm pregnant. I'm like, whoa, I can't take any more excitement, like this is crazy. So found out I was pregnant or whatever, and I was just, again, like super excited. So I called my doctor, let them know like, pregnant again. Like 2 weeks later, and they were like, okay. So they scheduled my appointment for my confirmation appointment to come in at the 10-week mark. And I was like, okay, but I couldn't wait that long, you know, like after the first time, like I couldn't wait that long again to like see if, or just see like if the babies were, like the baby was okay, like everything was fine or what. Well, come to find out, we go to like the ultrasound place, and I am pregnant, yes. But it was really nerve-wracking because like the ultrasound tech, she couldn't find the baby at first. So she was like moving the little monitor around, and like, so she couldn't find the baby at first. And I was like freaking out because obviously like my first experience being pregnant. But a moment later, she finds it, and she's like, oh, like here's the baby. And at 8 weeks, the baby literally looks like a little kidney bean. It's so small, like it's just like a little bitty teeny tiny thing. And so I was like, okay, woo, like baby's there, there's a heartbeat, everything looks great, like thank God. I had made it to 8 weeks at this point, because the first pregnancy only made it to 5 weeks. So super relieved, and she's like talking about the baby and, you know, its heartbeat and everything. And then she's like, okay. So she starts trying to move it around, and she like stops, and I'm looking at the monitor, and I'm like, is that two? Like, it looked like two little sacks. It was just like two little, like this. And I was like, oh my god. And like the technician like looked at me, and I looked at her, and I was like, is that two? She was like, oh, you're having twins. And I'm like, everybody in the room. So it was like my aunt, my husband obviously, my cousin, and my two little cousins, and we were all in there freaking out, like screaming, so excited. And the little, like, the ultrasound tech lady was so excited because she was like, I rarely ever get to like surprise someone with like finding out they're having twins. So it was just like exciting for everybody. My husband, I thought he was about to pass out. He was so like, he was like, oh. Now mind you, my husband is also a twin. He's a fraternal twin, so he has a brother who kind of looks like him, but not like exactly, you know. But so he's a twin too, and so he was like, oh my god. So like he FaceTimes his mom because she wasn't there, and she screams on the phone, like freaks out, like so excited. And I'm like, ah. I'm sitting there like crying, like I can't believe it, like so in shock, like to go from being pregnant and losing it so early on to finding out only a couple weeks later that you're pregnant again. And then finding out that not only is it a good, like there's a baby in there, there's two babies. So we're like, oh my gosh, like we were freaking out. So it was just one of those things where we're just like, oh my god, like it's so surreal. Like you don't you don't know how to like handle it. Like it's exciting to find out you're pregnant, and then to find out you're having two babies, it's like crazy. So found out we're having two babies that day. Super exciting. My whole family was freaking out, so excited. His whole family, my husband's family, so excited. Just everybody was so excited. Just so many emotions were like going through our head. We were just like and it literally took me like weeks, probably months, to like come to the like realization that I was having two babies. I was like, okay, like this is exciting, but like whoa. Whoa. So then you know, like we wait a couple more weeks and then go to the doctor. And at this point we were like I said, we already knew we were having twins, and the doctor was like, oh my god, like twins, you know. And that's when we found out they were fraternal. So fraternal meaning they have two amniotic sacs and two placentas. So all these things about like twins, like you know like there's two sets, like different kinds of twins, like identical or fraternal. But I never really knew like the whole like how it worked, like what how does it happen, and you know, like how does it happen with the cells, like whatever. So basically with fraternal twins, what happens is you have two eggs that get fertilized at the same time. But when you're having identical twins, it means one egg split in two. So it got fertilized by one sperm and it split into two. So you have two of the exact same DNA like children. And with identical, they typically share one sac and one placenta, or one sac, two placentas. But mine, I had two eggs that dropped at the same time. So from the ovaries, fallopian tubes, whatever, into the fallopian tubes, and got fertilized by a sperm, but two separate sperms. So each egg gets fertilized by its own sperm. So that means that they're twins, but they're fraternal twins, or what they call di twins, meaning di meaning two, so two placentas, two amniotic sacs, which is, if you're gonna have twins, that's like the safest type of twin to have, because it's like since they have their own sac, it's not like they can get like tangled up in each other and like, you know, risk having like problems with like umbilical cords and stuff like that. So that was relieving to find out. But anyway, so a little science for you. So a couple weeks later, I think we were 16 weeks at this point. The ultrasound place that we went to the first time, they told us they could tell us the gender at like 16 weeks. And I was like, no, like no way. So, whereas if you're waiting on your doctor, they don't do an anatomy scan or gender unless you're 20 weeks along. So 16 weeks, I was like, heck yeah, a month early I could find out. Heck yeah. So we did that. And that's when we found out we were having 2 little boys. And it was so like, it's so nerve-wracking because you're just like waiting. And then she's like, the ultrasound tech was like, okay, let me tell you what baby A is. And I was like, yeah. And baby A, which is Joshua Jr., is a boy. and then she was like, okay, like, you know, looking for baby B. I was like kind of like hoping I'd have a girl, but you know, I was just gonna be super excited either way, like whether it was a boy or a girl, like either way, I don't care. Just as long as I have healthy babies. And this is when we found out we were having 2 boys. So that was super, super exciting because like I kind of figured it would be boys. And the reason I say this is because apparently like the male is who like their DNA determines if you're gonna have boys or girls. So my husband's family is like all boys. Like his mom had 4 boys, and out of all of the boys, they all had a boy first. So their first child was a boy. So I was like, these are gonna be boys. But then on my family, it's kind of like varies, like either 2 girls and a boy or 2 boys and a girl, but there's always a girl somewhere and it kind of just varies. So I was like, maybe we'll get a girl, but I don't know. But what's even crazier is that twins apparently, like, obviously it's the mother's body who determines if you're gonna have twins or not, because it's her egg that either splits into 2 or she releases 2 eggs at the same time. So it depends on the mother. And the reason why I'm telling you guys all this is because I've had so many questions, but I'm just like, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys like what it is, like, so you can understand, because I know I didn't know any of this stuff like at all. I had no idea until I started talking to my doctors and like Google, obviously. And I'm on like a bunch of like group forums and stuff like this and stuff like that and whatever. So but basically the mom's genetics decide, or you know, determine if you're gonna have 1 baby, 2 babies, or more, like whatever. So I was like originally thinking like there's no way I'm gonna have twins, like there's no way, because no one on my family has twins on my mom's side or on my dad's side that we know of. Like, can't think of anyone that's had twins. And then my mom randomly told me that my great grandma had twins. So I mean, I guess if that was the one and only person way down the line that had twins, that at the time they were born premature, so they didn't make it. So that's why I never knew about them, because they died. The babies died, unfortunately. But I just didn't think I was gonna have twins. I was like, there's no way, no way. And then I found out I have twins. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. So it's just like really exciting for the whole family, because like, you know, no one's experienced this before. And so me being pregnant with twins, it's like amazing. And it's my first baby, so everybody's excited anyway, because they're like, yay, like it's Josh's first kids, my first kids, like we're so excited. So just all the excitement. But saying all of that to say, we are now in week 26 of our pregnancy, which means we only have about 12 more weeks to go. And I say 12 because my doctors said that twins are typically done, this is the way she said it, done baking. So like they're ready to come out at week 38, or between week 38 and 37 and 38 is what she said. So week 38 is what we're aiming for, is for me to make it to before I deliver. One thing with twins, what they said is that when you have twins, you know, everyone keeps asking me, like, do you automatically have to have a C-section? And no, you don't. When it comes to twins, the way they determine if you're gonna deliver vaginally or by cesarean is if baby A, and baby A is determined by who's closest to your cervix. So baby A is the one that's closer to your cervix, and baby B is the one that's further away from the cervix. So in my case, baby A is Joshua, and if he is head down at the time of, you know, delivery, then I can have the babies vaginally, even if baby B is not head down. So what that means is they can turn baby B around, or they can pull him out feet first. He can come out feet first, breached. And sometimes in rare events they say that, you know, they might have to do a C-section for baby B, but that's not very common. It just depends on how he's positioned. So if he's transverse, meaning not head down or feet down, and he's sideways, then they would have to do a C-section. Now, the only other reason why I'd have to have a C-section no matter what is if baby A was feet down or breech. In that case, I would have to have a C-section for both babies. I'm pretty open to both options. Obviously, I'd rather have them vaginally, naturally, but if I can't, it all depends on them. So if they want to be positioned properly at the time of delivery, then we'll have them however they're ready to come out. So I'm kind of just going with the flow and just letting things happen naturally, and you know, it is what it is. There's only so much you can do. So yeah. So that's the story of me being pregnant, how I found out, and everything like that. But thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoy. I know it's a long one. I had to talk a lot, but I'm glad that I'm able to share my story about my pregnancy and, you know, just give you some information about things you might not have known.